up the phone.
Ooh. Welcome to the Space Turtle Show.
Oh yeah, no, we just started. Welcome to another Space Turtle review. This time we're doing The Black Phone.
Yep. Honestly, that's kind of how we felt about the movie. So yeah, right off the bat.
Yeah.
We just finished watching it. We did take a little break, play some switch tennis after we got creamed.
Yeah,
but, you know,
it was terrible. We couldn't even stop because we kept getting our asses beat.
Oh man, if you guys got any tips for us, that would be great.
Yes,
I think
please.
we couldn't get the rules up or something, but
we only got worse and worse as we went on.
yeah. But that has nothing to do with the movie. We watched Black Phone today by Scott Derrickson with stars Ethan Hawke and something Thames. I forgot his first name. But yeah, so the movie's just all about this kid who gets kidnapped and he gets calls from a phone that isn't plugged in the basement that he's locked up in. And they are calls from kids that have been kidnapped and killed in the past who join him on his little captivity and struggle to escape by giving him hints. And that is pretty much the whole movie.
That's a pretty good synopsis. That's exactly that's the entire movie. Nothing different than that. There's no twists. I didn't like this movie very much. I thought it was generic and boring.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to a lot. I've been hearing a lot of good things about this movie, and I felt a little disappointed as well. I don't think I hated it as much as Joey, but I've never felt really connected to any of the characters besides the main Finney. And only really because he was smart. And I was like, okay, at least you're smart. I can root for you now. There wasn't too much.
Yeah.
There wasn't too much of a background. I mean, he does have a sister who has supernatural powers and can dream things that happen in real life or like places or like kind of communicate with the dead almost kind of to lead the police to where he's captured. And so it's this whole race between him trying to escape and her trying to find him. But honestly, it almost felt like a detour every time it cut to the girl, and I just kind of wanted more in the room, even though it was, I guess, a single setting type thing, so it might have been hard for them to come up with more stuff to put in there, but you know, they should have.
Well, yeah, and also her entire storyline led to a plot switch. It was all a prank. It didn't even matter really. It was
We were scared for a second. They were like empty house, and I'm like, oh, come on! After all this work that she did,
yeah, all for nothing.
Yeah,
I mean, they found the bodies, but they were going to find the bodies anyway, so It was just for tricking us. And there was a lot of things that were not making sense through the movie, and it was just to kind of trick us. Like, jump scares would be just popping in, and they wouldn't really have much of a purpose in there. They would just be to try to scare into the audience.
Yeah.
And I don't mind jump scares. It would be nice if they were good jump scares, or if they had substance or meaning. But they did not. Not a single one, actually. No jump scare had any plot development or any reason to be there. And, you know, I like tension and I like suspense. So if a jump scare is the encapsulation or the payoff for that, that's good too. But this movie didn't have that either. It had no tension, no suspense, and the jump scares had no purpose to be there. It almost felt like it was trying to be more of a horror movie than the story even needed it to be.
I totally agree with that. I was thinking it felt like a thriller type movie, but then they were like, well, it's a horror movie, so we got to insert some jump scares. And so those are how they felt. I would say I didn't hate all of them. I did like the first one, and only the first one.
Which one? The Ethan Hawke staring at the kid?
Oh, no. Like the first ghost kid. or
okay.
that shows up. Just because we hadn't gotten like into the supernatural yet. So it did come as a surprise to me because it really kind of does grounded stuff throughout the whole film, pretty much. The only thing a little bit supernatural is his sister, and by that point, she's like praying to God and not getting a single dream, pretty much. So it wasn't that consequential yet. And so whenever he picks up the phone and the camera turns around and there's this kid. I mean, there is loud music, but I thought that was it wasn't like popping up. It was like a slow turn as well, I think. And so I thought the first jump scare was good. I wouldn't say it has too much to develop with the plot other than the fact of introducing like a visual version of these guys, even though the voice still comes from the telephone. But the first jump scare was okay to me just because it introduced like the visual style of the way that the ghosts are going to be. And so I wasn't expecting it, and it caught me off guard. It helped that other people were also jumped by it. Yeah. But subsequently...
Good packed theater.
Yeah.
I like horror movies in a theater because you get people scared around you. Sometimes if you watch it with only your horror movie fans, then no one gets scared, and that's not fun. Like, I like laughing when I see someone next to me get scared.
You fucking loser.
It's nice to know that someone still has like a heart and like
a soul. You know?
Yeah, someone can get scared because I've already been lost. I can't even do it anymore.
But speaking of every other one, it was a lot of loud sounds and like flashes of whatever, like ghosts. There was the one where the kid was like floating upside down, which I'm kind of half and half on. I'm not like too crazy about it because it still kind of introduces this really weird thing about how he visualizes things. But I did like the little drip, even though I saw it coming. I saw some type of blood or some type of ghost coming, not maybe specifically the position he was hanging at or like floating at, but I thought that was okay. At least they tried to build it up with the slow pan camera and the what's that sound, you know? But yeah, other than those two, the first one I'm a little bit positive in, the second one I'm kind of just neutral in. Every other one was pretty bad in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just, there's a lot of things that I don't love. I would say, generally, I didn't like anything except for the spunky little girl. I thought she had a fun performance. It's kind of a cliche now, but everything in this movie is a cliche. At least that's a fun cliche. I don't think I'm ever gonna get old from that cliche. Like, love spunky little girl.
Yeah.
And the cocaine brother. He was completely useless to the plot. Only served to get killed. Was the biggest idiot I've ever seen in my life. And he was the best part of the movie.
Like, what is, like, I don't understand how we can live next to, like, a lot of things don't make sense. And I think that there's just so many writing flaws in it that it was hard to really empathize with any of the characters. Like, for me, the whole first portion, like, before he gets kidnapped, is almost like building things that don't really matter. The only thing I feel like matters is that, like, I guess he's friends with Robin. But other than that, like, Robin beating someone up and then him almost getting beat up is getting saved by Robin. But like his crush too, like, I don't understand how that has anything to do with the film.
Josh, call me Finn.
Bro, Alpha now.
Alpha move.
You beat the kidnapper.
How can you not include him?
I'm swooning now. Finny? Ugh. Finn? Oh, man.
How can you not include the crush? How can you not include that scene? I can understand at the editing block. It's like, why would we have this? It doesn't make sense. But remember when he says, call me Finn? That shit.
It's like, damn, he played it too well. We gotta put it in the movie.
I wish this film went more like stupid. It should have been more self-aware of how dumb it was, and it wasn't. But the few times that it let that stupid like seep through, definitely my favorite parts.
I think, yeah. So there was a lot of introductions of characters that kind of made it difficult to empathize as well, like his dad. Like one of some of the first things they show them for like first he's an alcoholic, and then second he just beats the shit out of his daughter, like absolutely wailed at her. And then later he's like, I'm so sorry, it's because your mom, like, you know, she had her dreams and then she killed herself. And I'm like, I don't give a shit, bro.
Yeah.
Like you just that I was like fists up just like Finny was. I was like, what the hell? Like she's just talking about her dreams and he's like going out, and then they try to like build him up later again, and then till the very end where he's like, forgive me or whatever. But like the introduction of the character was just so damaging that there was no redemption. Like I was honestly surprised that they tried to redeem him rather than just making him like the most asshole dad ever, because I was thinking that's how they were going to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, and he was quite a cliche character too, so there wasn't a lot going on with him. Like deadbeat dad, spunky little girl, nerdy, like Finn Wolfhard looking kid in the 80s.
He's got the long hair. Oh, and one of my biggest gripes is that song that they use. I Want to Know Your Name or something, or I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that they use when they flash back to the dude with the curly hair, the
big jock guy.
Yeah. That song has become like a cliche like 70s 80s like kids, and I hear it so often. I was like physically repulsed when I heard that song again. I was like, not again, signaling we're in the past, we're in the 70s.
It's terrible. I mean, I can't think of a single thing that was original about this film at all. Even, you know, the closest thing, Ethan Hawke was a little original, but not even that much, really.
I liked his performance.
He was good. I mean, it's Ethan Hawke.
It's hard to see his face too, but he did the most with what he had on the mask, I think.
Yeah, and the mask was pretty scary.
Yeah, I liked its changing mouth.
If I got kidnapped by a guy with that mask, consider me scared.
But then he calls me a naughty boy, and I'm like, consider me aroused. No, I'm just kidding. I hope my parents are watching this one. But I think there's a couple positives that I have. Okay, I know I just said that, but there's also another negative that I have to bring
I have a couple
first.
positives, but I just to go back to what's wrong.
When we're writing the introductions of characters, especially with Finney, they wrote him adequately or just like tolerably up until he gets captured, but then he's like playing it really cool, and I think there's like a little bit of a con, but mostly a pro. That I guess could be a positive, but it's up in the air, I guess. Mm-hmm. But he's like so cool that it almost doesn't sell like the desolation of the situation he's in. I know there's a line he says that's like, "I'm not getting out of here, am I?" Which, first of all, is a pretty good line, but I think it's delivered it a little bit too steely. And then second, he's like searching all this stuff, and he's like, "I'm not getting out of here, am I?" And then he like gets the calls, and there's like clues and tools like everywhere. My guy did not do a good job at looking around.
Yeah, I mean, he had. It was like that was funny too, because he was never in. There was never a situation where it felt like he was in real danger.
Yeah. Because
he was always getting a lifeline. Like he always had help, or he always had something. They'd even tell him when he was asleep. They were like, "You should escape right now," and he's like, "Okay,
I guess so.
I guess I will." I mean, I was like, all right, well, he's not going to make it out because obviously they got to do something with the dream.
Yeah, there's more movie left. But yeah, there's not too much tension either because he doesn't, Ethan Hawke doesn't really visit him that often. So he's given like hours and hours and hours to like try and escape. At first I was thinking, after you got the first clue, I was like, is this guy gonna like dig through the entire house? Is it the whole movie? Like,
yeah.
But Yeah, but
he didn't make it very far at all, which is, yeah. Now that I think about it, a pretty shitty clue. How are you gonna? You're gonna dig under the house all the way under? How long do you think he has, man? No wonder you fucking died, kid.
Yeah, I think it was this whole thing about they're giving him clues like non-linearly, because like at the very end he uses like every single like clue to kill him.
Yeah, it wasn't that cute.
So
cute
it's
when
like,
that
yeah, I guess it ties together at the end, which I give it a little plus for, but it definitely didn't smoothly get there. It just kind of like, oh man, dig a hole. And then also at first I thought that these kids would be like giving him stuff that it's kind of like half and half. Like the rope, it was like, I guess he found the rope, one of the previous children, and then left it there. And then also the bike code. But then the ground, it's like they omnisciently know it, because obviously there's not a pre-dug hole there. So it's not like the other child had started one and he's like, all right, like I've started one, you keep going. Or like, how did he know about the refrigerator thing? Because like there wasn't a hole there before. So it's like some of the kids omnisciently gave him clues, and then others was like things they've left in the past. And I really wish it had been like bits of things each one of them had left in the past that he could utilize, and not like just random knowledge that they are granted when they're dead, I guess.
Well, yeah, and another couple things is, wouldn't it have been cool if he had gotten caught once? You know, like he never got caught.
He never
Every
got
time he tried to escape, he never like. Ethan Hawke, what a shitty kidnapper. I mean, if you're gonna do your job, at least do it right.
He's sleeping, bro. He's a tired man.
Yeah.
But I mean, he does make it all the way outside, so.
Yeah, it's just that it would have been far more interesting if he tries to, like, he's so careful doing the rope thing with the window or something, and then the window crashes to the ground, and I'm like...
Yeah, and no one heard it.
Maybe
like storm in and start beating the shit out of him.
Yeah, I mean, it is a soundproof room, but it would just be more interesting. The story would just be better if he got caught somewhere along the way and he wasn't given clue after clue after clue.
Yeah. I mean, to wrap around to what I was saying about his introduction as a character, it got to the point where he was getting nowhere with the refrigerator, and then he just starts crying there, and I felt like that's such a powerful scene, and a one that he does pretty well. I almost wish that it was like earlier on, because there's like, it serves as like feeling defeated, but like in the beginning I kind of want his introduction to, or like his introduction to the situation to be a little bit more like that, and then maybe the phone would give him like clues to like motivate him or something like that, you know? Because after he like feels that desolation from the third or fourth clue that leads to nowhere, he starts crying, and then the phone rings again. So it's like, okay, back to it. So it's like a powerful scene, but I feel like it was like misplaced as a time. Like the timing that it was put, and I think that goes back to my characters and how they're like developed and how their emotions are shown. Like with the father in the beginning, it's like he's an asshole, so it's super hard to go back from that. In the beginning of the kid, it's like he's smart, he's calm, he's steely, and then he like breaks down later, which is okay if they had just kept going with that. They like jump back with the saving him with another phone call, so it's like you don't get to revel in that emotion and in that hopelessness for that long, which kind of hurt the film. And yeah, I guess every single time that you're saying, it's just there's no tension in it, because he would just do something kind of that it culminates later on, but it just doesn't earn it. So it's like us as an audience with the first viewing, we're like, how far do you think he's gonna dig this hole before he gives up? Because I mean, he gets like up to his chest, which is pretty good, and then he has to like scoop it and put it in the toilet too. I'm like, I would have given up in like the first hour. I'm like, I'm not doing this, man. If it means digging all the way out to escape, I'm just gonna die. Like, that's too much work, man.
There's a lot of scenarios where I felt like I would have just accepted my situation. Like, he was screaming for help after he was told it was soundproof. I just would have believed them. I would have been like, I'm not saving. I'll save my breath. I'm not yelling for help. It sounds like tedious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of excited for this film because Chris Stuckman gave it such a glowing review.
I mean, it still has good reviews, like, all around.
People like this movie, and I just did not. I would say, actually, yeah, Chris Stuckman, he said it was one of the best horror movies he's seen in a while. Like, that he's ever seen, actually. I think he said that he's ever seen. And, actually, I have something for Chris Stuckman.
What is this?
That's Cap, dude.
Oh, wow.
That's fucking Cap.
Honestly, I agree. Man.
It's so Cap.
I think
he might be friends with Scott Derrickson or something. I don't know.
I think there's a certain nostalgia in it. It has like a little bit of the feeling of like early 2000s horror and like that kind of stuff. But it definitely doesn't deal with the story plot points in a way that some of those films did really well, despite them having like a more brooding and like I wouldn't say self-important, but it's just very, it's hard to explain, but just early 2000s like horror, this one, I think the cinematography and the atmosphere was well done, in my opinion, with one of the positives. Ethan Hawke's performance I thought was a positive. The kids were pretty okay for the most part. It's just a lot of the writing and the jump scares really brought it down for me. So for the first half, although the story portion was like, I liked the way he was moving the camera and like keeping us on our toes with sometimes like them being cuts and sometimes slow shots. There are some cliche stuff like when he's running from the bullies and it's like slow and then it's like pounding music, which was a little bit over the top for me. But I always appreciate it when directors can do like a variety of editing choices and cinematography choices that keep me on my toes. And so, I would say that gives me the atmosphere of like those early 2000s. But the story just, it hurts, man.
Yeah, I would say for my closing thoughts, I agree with you totally about the story. And I don't agree with you about any of your other positives. I thought the cinematography was bad, the editing was bad, directing I didn't like. It felt like you said, it was a blast from the past, but it didn't feel like it said anything more about that era or genre. So it just felt like it was behind. It just seemed like Scott Derrickson hasn't made a horror movie since 2011, and he just went right back where he left off. It's not, the genre actually improved since then.
Yeah.
The genre the time that he came from was like the worst period of horror in the history of movies, and I would say good riddance to that era and good riddance to this movie.
Damn.
I'm gonna give it Turtle Top.
Ah, damn, that's harsh. That's harsh.
Turtle Top.
I think my final thoughts are that there's some writing problems in there that I can't get over. I mean, I just kind of summarized it already, but there's also tension that I feel like was so missed with this because of the way that it's just overall story writing things. It's not even like dialogue was gross or like anything like that or anything was cheesy. It's just like, how can you build tension whenever you know that the next thing your story's gonna have to move it forward is just to get to another call? And I think that makes it so much more difficult to get really scared for the character. And he never loses, pretty much. He gets captured again. He gets a little bit of a punch on the head to black out. But otherwise, he's literally never threatened by him. Yeah. And I know it's like this looming threat that's like if he's naughty or something. But honestly, that's more camp than it is like scary. In the beginning, I was interested in them keeping Ethan Hawke's character a lot more ambiguous, because I was like, okay, the fear of the unknown, he doesn't know what's going to happen. But the more he gets revealed by the telephone calls, like, oh, don't go up there, he left the door unlocked because he's waiting for you up there, then it kind of defeats the suspense of the door unlocked and him being like, should I go up or not? Because that's really scary. It's like, yeah, like that notion with someone as supposedly smart or capable as the grabber, him leaving the door is like, is it a trap or is it not? And they just solve it by getting a phone call. And again, with his breakdown, they just solve it by getting a phone call. And I think that is just a really horrible way to maintain tension, or actually a better way to say that would be it interrupts the tension all the time. And so that mixed with the earlier parts of the film that sets up a lot of things that I don't really care about, because I'm like, I want more of him being trapped in this, and there's like a whole like 30-45 minutes before he gets captured or something like that, and I'm like, damn. But those are my closing thoughts, and I still thought there were some good parts of this film. I would give it a Ninja Turtle and a squirt.
Okay.
Or maybe I'll take away the squirt. Let me think about that real quick. Because squirts are supposed to be positive. I know I took away a squirt for the Lightyear, but that was only because it was like personally. It was like I felt like that movie kind of destroyed my dreams of the Lightyear, the Buzz Lightyear and Zurg like storyline, and so I took away a squirt. But squirts are supposed to be given most of the time, not received.
I don't know what you mean by that. You always have something with the turtles that I just do not do at all.
It all makes sense in my brain, man. It's like when you give a score.
You're supposed to give a score.
You're give a score, and then you're like, oh, but
it's true.
Give it a little squirt.
It's hard to take back a squirt.
Yeah. So honestly, I'm gonna take back the squirt because I feel like it needs to be a positive. I can't tarnish.
None of that
squirts.
makes sense. So you're telling me what?
It's getting
what if it's like
turtle.
What if it's a 2.5, but it's a positive because you get a squirt with it?
It's like there are some redeeming qualities.
That's the same thing as.
Okay, I'm giving back the squirt now because you're flaming me. Well, okay, no, there are some redeeming qualities.
I'm just saying, if you give a squirt to a Ninja Turtle, but that's the same thing as taking a squirt from a Franklin. There's no difference between the two.
No, because it's the difference in my soul, in my heart, when I explain the movie, Joey. Okay. My feelings.
All right.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna give it a Ninja Turtle squirt because it was entertaining. Okay, it wasn't like watching Jurassic World Dominion. So, yeah. All
right, that's it. Like and subscribe, quick.
Bye.
Do it. Bye.